In our third series on the alleged rape of E Jean Carroll by Donald Trump, in the dressing room of the lingerie section of a high-end department store, we will focus on the outrageously biased media coverage of her claims. In the previous two videos we have explained how her account of what transpired in the dressing room must be false. This is mainly because she could not possibly have been penetrated either partially or completely, as she has alleged. It is physically impossible for her to have been penetrated, with the two of them standing up throughout the encounter, as she has stated, without her tights being removed from at least one leg. In the widely published excerpts from her book, she alleged that he pulled her tights down, and that act by itself is not enough to allow penetration, as she alleged, and as we have explained in the previous videos. Nevertheless, all the media reports and interviews that we have come across simply gloss over or ignore this salient fact and evidence of her lying. Instead, they proceed to give her softball interviews, in which they not only ignore the obvious lies and inconsistencies, but they also lead her on several instances and provide sweeping excuses to mitigate or gaslight her poor judgment. It is quite clear that she was unwilling or reluctant to categorize whatever happened in that dressing room as rape, but she is urged and encouraged to do so. And now, some years later, she is claiming rape on her way into court, where her obviously false testimony will be torn to shreds, and all those that have been gaslighting the truth and encouraging her will be equally responsible for the inevitable car crash. Our first clip, featuring her interview with Alisyn Camerota of CNN, is presented for your attention. In the opening sequence, Camerota attempts to justify Carroll's inappropriate behavior with a married man by defining the exchange as banter. However, in other interviews with other presenters, which we will present in subsequent videos, Carroll herself refers to the exchange as flirtatious. As the interview progresses, Camerota goes on to assert that Carroll's description of the encounter amounted to rape, but Carroll expresses her reluctance to classify it as rape. Nevertheless, Camerota persists and suggests that Carroll is somehow unwilling to define the encounter as rape because of some valiant desire to not see herself as a victim. However, Carroll, contrary to facts, attempts to represent herself as some feminist champion who did not wish to equate what happened to her to what other women who were encountering sexual violence were suffering.
When we walked into the lingerie department, there was nobody there, which is strange. It was in the evening, and on the counter were 3 really fancy boxes and a see-through bodysuit. He walked right to the bodysuit and snatched it up and said, "Go put this on." Now, that struck me as so funny, because here I am, 52. I am not going to be put. My idea was, I said, "No, you put it on." And he said, "No, it looks like it fits you." I said, "No, it goes with your eyes." So I am spinning a comedy scene in my head.
Of course, banter, back and forth. I get it.
But you see how funny that would be to make him put that on. Right.
Yes, and you, by the way, used to be a comedy writer on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
You were engaging in this banter, as I think many of us would, because you didn't know what violence was about to unfold, and you could never have known that.
How would I know that?
Of course. And
although I thought I was pretty stupid.
Well, I mean, I understand that afterwards, in retrospect, you blame yourself. Many women in this situation do. However, you go into the dressing room, you think that he's going to hold it up against him, and then it gets violent.
Well, the minute he went like this, I preceded him into the dressing room. The minute he closed that door, I was banged up against the wall.
He slammed you against the wall.
Yeah, I hit my head really hard. Boom.
And you point out that he's a tall, big person, and he pinned you in some way.
Well, I'm a tall person, too. I was 6'1" in my heels, and I was a competitive athlete. So, when somebody shows you... The thing is, it shocked me. For a moment, I was stunned, right? And then he tried to kiss me, which was... It was so hard, so my reaction was to laugh, to knock off the erotic whatever he had going on, because the man, when you laugh at him, he's like, no. He just went at it.
And when you say went at it, I mean...
He pulled down my tights. And it was a fight. I want women to know that I did not stand there. I did not freeze. I was not paralyzed, which is a reaction that I could have had because it's so shocking. No, I fought. And it was over very quickly. It was against my will, 100%. And I ran away, out.
And he pinned you, I mean, just without getting overly graphic, he pinned you against the wall.
He held his shoulder against
He
me.
put his shoulder against you.
And he is, you're right, you made that point.
He's much bigger than you are. I mean, not just tall, I mean, in terms of his massiveness. And so he pinned you against the wall, he ripped off your tights, and...
Not all the way off, just down.
Down. He pulled down his pants.
Just unzipped.
He unzipped his pants. And this is beyond sexual. I mean, legally, he raped you.
I don't use the word. I have difficulty with the word. I see it as a fight.
Yes.
I don't,
I understand, but you see it as a fight and you don't want to be seen as a victim, and I totally get that.
Don't want to be seen as a victim because I quickly went past it. It was a very, very brief episode of my life. Very brief. I am not faced with sexual violence every single day like many women around the world. And so, yes, I'm very careful with that word.
I understand.
I like you will use it.
Well, here's the situation. I understand that you don't want this to define you, of course, who would? But I'm saying legally, it was rape. It's unambiguous. What you describe in the book, it was rape. And that actually goes further than the 15 women who came forward during the campaign to say that they described situations very similar to what you experienced. Him getting them into a room, him pinning them against a wall, him forcing a kiss on them. But yours actually goes further in terms of being legally rape. That's what it was.
Well, it could be argued that, as a feminist champion, Carroll should have reported the alleged rape immediately, so that other women could be saved from the possibility of experiencing such an ordeal, be encouraged to report such if it should happen to them, and set an example to other men who had such proclivities. Sadly, Camerota did not push back on anything that Carroll said or did, and chose instead to fan her lies. It is significant that during the interview, when Camerota assumed that Trump had ripped off Carroll's tights, Carroll corrected her by saying, "Not all the way off, just down." This suggests that Camerota's instincts were that the tights had to have been ripped off for the rape to occur, but she chose not to challenge Carroll's affirmation, which fatally undermined her rape claim. False rape allegations have long been the bane of genuine rape allegations, and what Carroll and her enablers are doing will eventually come home to roost when her false rape allegation is exposed in court. Thank you for your kind attention, and subscribe to be notified when the next installment is uploaded.